want to know what's happening right now. Who are the warring factions?
So these are the two warring factions now.
This and
RSF
this. They are the two warring factions. Where do all these people stand? Are they in support of one or the other?
So now, these ones have not decided to take any sides. But the fact is that the fighting is almost...
So the ceasefire is between them and them. The regular army and the rebel army. Yeah. Now, which one started conversations with Russia? Let's come to the proxy. That's the story.
So we'll get to that part.
But let's do it quickly because we want to know who started the conversation with Russia. Is it the rebel or the regular army?
No.
To give Russia a base.
RSF started the negotiation.
He started, but he's not the government legitimate in terms
no, but you see, he has financial
in terms of political
and
legitimacy. He has financial independence.
That is what antagonizes the Sudanese military itself.
Why?
So we need to look at their numerical strength and you get what I'm saying.
Whose numerical strength?
Of the two forces. And
who has more? But numerical these days is not as important as firepower.
It is important in this equation.
But firepower is more important.
No, it is important in this equation.
Okay, explain to us.
The Sudanese armed forces, in its entirety, has about, what do you call it, 109,300 forces, right?
In the military?
In the military.
That's a lot.
And
it's probably bigger than Ghana.
Because of the past civil wars they had. And they have a reserve of 85,000.
Yeah.
Then he initially had about, I think, 5,000, later expanded. But because of the Saudi alliance coalition invading Yemen, he had to send some of his fighters over there.
He is in alliance with Saudi Arabia.
No, when the Saudi alliance invaded Yemen to fight the Houthis.
Yes, when Saudi Arabia, I'm trying to look at the proxy thing. So Saudi Arabia is pro-America.
It's pro-America.
And he had engaged with Saudi Arabia in a guerrilla battle. No. He's supporting Saudi Arabia to fight Yemen.
They are fighting Yemen.
Yes, so that immediately puts him within a certain context.
Yeah. So he sent 40,000 of his soldiers to fight. And that's how come the alliance between Saudi and UAE was formed. That's how come they come into the picture.
Okay.
But all of a sudden, by getting towards the previous 2 years, he expanded to 100,000.
Which is significant.
Which is equal match. So he has
very significant.
Near parity to the army.
In numbers, but that's not firepower.
No, I'm building. Okay. So now he needed two things to create an entire military unit of his own. He needed an air base and then a naval force to become fully autonomous army of armed forces of his own.
Okay.
So by trying to bring Russia into the picture and granting
help
them a
him
base
build a
in
naval
Sudan,
force.
That will give him access to
I
the
see. But this does it continue to the Suez Canal?
Yeah, it continues.
It continues to the Suez Canal.
Along the Red Sea.
So the Suez Canal then descends into this area. If a vessel is from the Suez Canal and is going to Asia, this is where it will go, isn't it? Yeah. This is where the thing was taking place. The Somalia issues.
Yeah, around this route.
Yeah, it's around this route.
But then, aside needing access to the sea, he needed an air base, and so he started redeploying his forces, and they decided to storm this particular military base, Merowe.
To take over. It's an air base.
An air base. And had he gotten that, he would have now pursued his attempt to build an air force of his own.
Okay, so now I'm interested in the Russia angle. We'll come to the air force. So he wanted Russia to come in to help him to build a naval base.
Russia needed a base.
Yes, in that region.
And he also needed
the sea. He needed a naval power force.
A quid pro quo.
So it's mutual.
Yeah.
But as soon as you engage with Russia, internationally, there's a problem. A red flag will come.
Okay.
So that's what must have brought America in and saying that we'll not allow you to have Russia here. So America then probably is going to the regular army to back them, and that's how the fighting may have started.
I think, you see, initially Sudan's always been anti-American under Omar al-Bashir.
Yes, I get that.
So they felt that they could be losing a chance by trying to, the alliance with the military. But what really created the war itself was when he attempted to capture this particular air base.
No, are you suggesting that the regular army was unconcerned when he was creating a sea base?
No, when he was creating a sea base, they noticed.
And they are
but
unconcerned?
You needed a trigger. You can't just...
Okay.
So when he made...
So you don't see the war as proxy. You don't see America not wanting Russia here is the reason why the military have been empowered.
That is the factor. But the domestic factor itself allowed this to become an issue.
But in proxy matters, there's always a domestic trigger.
So you see, we need to understand the immediate cause of the war as against the remote cause. So the immediate cause was when he decided to capture this particular air base.
Yeah, I get it.
And that would have given him But then we need to look at the foreign actors involved. It is not just America.
Okay, who are they?
Because we have Egypt as a factor.
Yeah, Egypt is still America.
No. But then Saudi is
America.
No, in this case, Saudi is against US in this equation.
Which equation? The Sudan equation?
The Sudanese equation.
How do you know that? Are they supporting the rebel group?
Yeah. And that's where it becomes so murky. So when you look at between the two of them, He enjoys support from Russia.
This is the rebel man.
Yeah.
Okay, but he looks nicely dressed like a regular army.
And it seems he's even of Chadian origin.
He's of he looks, but the border, therefore, you will get that kind of thing, yeah.
So he enjoys support from Russia, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, and then the Egyptian army, the Sudanese armed forces, equal support from USA, Egypt, and Israel.
Then it's a big war, because if you have American allies like Saudi Arabia and UAE out of this and supporting this one with Russia, that's a concern for the United States.
And that is because
that's a big concern for America.
They are more concerned about political Islam. You realize after the Arab Spring, most of the parties that did well in post-Arab Spring elections were Islamist parties.
Yeah, correct.
We've seen America and these countries deliberately undermining those countries. We saw America endorsing the coup in Egypt. We saw America endorsing the current hostile takeover of power by Kais Essebsi in Tunisia. And they only come and issue feeble remarks here and there. But
Libya, America is in control of Libya, isn't it?
Libya is divided, so the eastern government is backed by Russia and Egypt and UAE, and then the Tripoli.
So in Libya, Egypt is with Russia.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And then it becomes more murky when you look at the map itself. So this is where Sudan sits, and now you see here is Benin.
Yeah, Libya is Benin. I agree.
And what do you call this guy? Haftar control this part, eastern part. So in any alliance between Haftar, Wagner, and RSF could increase the chaos here.
And we are talking about northern Sudan.
No, we are talking this is South Sudan.
Oh, that's South. So this is all Sudan.
All Sudan.
Okay.
But then within this portion also, you have Darfur, where the rebels were equally active.
Okay.
So they decide to depend on where they stand.
But the picture you are painting suggests that the rebel group will be stronger if the fighting were to
But
resume.
the strongest of all the rebels group is what do you call it? The leftover of the Saudi movement, the secessionist movement. But they are also. So you're going to have an alliance between that group, the leftover. You're going to have the Eastern Libyan, Wagner, Russia supporting all in Sudan. Yeah. Then you're going to have Egypt is with the US, and you have Russia in there as well. So if the fighting were to resume and America does not heavily deploy, it would appear that the firepower will be with the rebels. And Russia may secure the longer it takes, the more advantageous it becomes for the Sudanese armed forces.
That's true.
Between the two units, the Sudanese tend to see the army as a national institution. They only declare that it's a political actor, so they prefer it goes back to the barrack. But for the RSF, they dislike it totally.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
And then because
are they Islamic, the RSF?
The RSF is born out of.
Do they present themselves as an Islamic orientation?
Well, as a Muslim country, Islam is always a factor.
Why is African Union in all of this?
African Union has always been dormant. It has never been active.
They said nothing? No, it may not be active because they don't have what Nkrumah was calling for, the high command. Because if Africa had built that high command, we can just deploy it into Sudan.
You see, it's not about deployment. The way in manner in which African Union address issue is always reactionary, not proactive. And they allow
that's because they don't have the resources.
But when we wanted to do Liberia, we went there with our scarce resources.
But that's because we decided that resources were important. So we took our scarce resources. And that's why we're able to make a big statement in Liberia.
So the argument
we can't make a statement in Sudan because we don't have them.
The argument of resources has always been over-amplified.
No, the Liberia one...
When we want to stand, we stand.
No, the Liberia is a different decision. It was Babangida who drove it personally.
Abacha pursued it.
And Rawlings was an ally to them. And Ghana and Nigeria decided
in the Congolese Civil War, African countries intervened on both sides.
You're talking the 60s one? The Kwame Nkrumah one?
No, not that one. The one that ended around 97, that overthrew Mobutu.
No, not that one. That was the end of the Cold War.
In that instance, you had Zimbabwe, Uganda backing the government.
Mobutu.
Yeah, backing Mobutu. And you have Rwanda and the rest backing the rebels. So when we want to stand on our feet, we stand.
No, but that's not African Union. That's individual countries.
No. You see,
you are angry with African Union. You need not to be. You just have to analyze it. Don't be angry.
You understand?
Let's explain. Don't be angry at all.
You understand my point.
Yeah, but don't be angry. There's nothing to be angry about African Union.
I'm not angry. I'm
just saying that they don't have resources. That the examples you are giving is individual heads of state deciding that I'm going to intervene in this. So Robert Mugabe has a relationship with Mobutu Sese Seko, or because Mugabe was also prepped up in the Cold War by the West. And Mobutu was by the West. Mobutu was falling. The West may call Robert Mugabe and say, can you support Mobutu? It is his decision, nothing to do with Africa Union. It's not even SADC. What has Somalia done?
That's AU.
Yeah, what has it done?
When we want to go, we go.
Yeah, but we can't go everywhere because our resources are small.
I'm not blaming. I'm only saying that the reality is that AU has never been active and proactive in its own domain. That is one. And when it goes in to settle the dispute, it always favors those with power, even when they are wrong.
Yeah, well,
because if you
which dispute did they go to? We shouldn't be digressing. We have to be wrapping
up.
Up.
Look at the arrangement. When you have the Sudanese people protesting against an autocratic regime,
like which one?
Omar al-Bashir.
Yeah.
Omar al-Bashir was ousted by the military.
Yeah.
There was a massacre of civilians.
Yes.
The people kept protesting. All you did,
did Africa
through the background of the national community, was to what? What do you call it? Sideline the activists on the ground, the Sudanese resistance.
How did AU sideline them?
When negotiation came on board,
did he invite them?
They invited the political parties without input of this. And that's why you realize that when the second coup of 2021 occurred, when Amdok was reinstated as the prime minister, some of the parties were in negotiation with the military. But the youth the people kept protesting. So what was African Union position at that time? Force, like mount pressure, so that dialogue these people will be involved.
But who was leading the negotiation? African Union itself?
African Union. Through the
but how did they can invite them?
You see, the issue was that they never wanted to involve the Sudan Resistance Committee.
But there must be a reason.
Because AU always protect the status quo.
What was the status quo?
Those in power, let's do power sharing agreement. We saw it in Zimbabwe, Changara against Mugabe. So during the election, you do power sharing.
Yeah, but it's
been the norm.
Yeah, but the election goes into that area. You have to do power sharing.
It encourages more rigging and more power sharing. When we decided to go to Gambia.
And there was also a case like that in Kenya, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Kufuor and Kofi Annan one. It occasioned the power sharing.
But you see, we should learn from our mistakes. Power sharing in Kenya didn't work. Zimbabwe didn't work. So how long would you continue a field?
But the power sharing in Zimbabwe was not the first one. So Kenya, I can agree with you. But Zimbabwe had done that before. At independence, Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe shared power as vice president and president.
But in this instance,
and that one too didn't work. But that was not African Union. That was UN. That was UN.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
But in this equation, the power was shared. The military reneged on its own agreement, came back to mount a coup. And you are still compelling them to still go back and negotiate with that military. And the people are telling you that there's only one solution.
Okay, so right now, what do you think is going to happen over the next 2 weeks? The ceasefire is 72 hours. It's about to end.
Well, it keeps on elapsing because they are in all out. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't even hold for too long because there are sporadic fighting within the ceasefire.
Yeah, but what do you think is going to happen?
Well, what I think is going to happen is that the fight will continue.
Do you think the internal matters of power play is higher in this fighting, or is the proxy, Russia versus America?
The internal is higher than the proxy.
The internal is higher than the proxy. Why did we not fighting before the proxy came in?
From day one, there was no unity among these two groups. The only thing
but they were not fighting. Now they were. Over the last few weeks, since the naval conversation started with Russia, they've been fighting.
It wasn't
but
even,
they were not fighting.
It wasn't
before.
even the naval conversation that, you see, it's like he was the weaker party. So he didn't have someone to back him. That's why he went that way. But from day one, the Sudanese armed forces have always been looking at how to clip his wings.
Well, fair enough. I'm asking you that where is the war going to? You said it's domestic. And I'm saying that if it's domestic, they would have started fighting before.
But
as soon as the international
the
came
bigger
in, they are
danger is
fighting.
now that the leading Islamists who were ousted in power have been broken out of jail.
You mean Omar al-Bashir's people?
Yeah.
They are left jail?
Yes, the jail was
But Omar al-Bashir is still in jail?
He is in the military hospital.
So he is under the control of the military. Okay.
But then the military itself is equally highly, influenced by the Islamists. And now, if Burhan decides to compromise in any negotiation that legitimize, the Hemeti, then there could be even a coup against him. And then Omar al-Bashir, being whether military hospital or his people out, will not forgive this guy for betrayal. So it's like he knows he's on the losing end, the longer it takes. But now the question we need to look at now is what will be the role of the democratic forces in solving the issue, because they also have a role to play. What will be the position of the Sudanese people? And then what will be the decision of these rebels the longer the fight takes? Because initially they were part of FFC.
So you think that the longer the fight takes, these people are losing?
He will lose.
The Russian people are losing. If they have to win quickly.
Yeah.
But if it drags
on... And that is why he threw the first blow.
It drags on longer, they are losing.
Yeah.
Let's look at it another 2 weeks and see, because it's now past 11, it's 6 minutes past 11. Let's see.